It is 1230 WBVP and 1460 WNBA and 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM. And I'm happy because Jack is here. Ask the Commissioners is on the air. It's on the air in all those places I just told you. It is also being live streamed on our Facebook page. If you have questions, if you would like to, in fact, ask the Commissioner. Morning, Jack.
Good morning. Good to be with you as always.
It's always, if
Seriously,
you would,
I never miss this.
No, you don't.
I love the opportunity to get the word out of all the great things that are happening in Beaver County.
if you've got questions for Jack about all the great things in Beaver County, you can call him. You can post them. Go to our Facebook page because this is being live streamed. You can post them in the comments section. Now, we've already got some that have come in. We'll get to those.
Okay.
First things first. I'm seeing you everywhere in the media. I saw you, and I gave you an award. I made up an award for you earlier this week.
Uh-oh.
The Jack Manning Quote of the Week.
Okay.
Somebody interviewed you and asked you about the cracker plant, and they were talking about people that didn't want to be around it and all that. Your quote was spectacular, and I salute you. It was, I'll paraphrase it. It was basically, it'd be real cool if we could function at Starbucks, but we need to actually be productive citizens. And are you the cracker plant guy to the local media? Because I know how it works. Once word gets out, hey, this Manning guy, you got questions about the cracker plant, he'll talk to you.
Well, I over the last several years,
You need an agent.
All doing construction.
Yeah.
People know it, and it's no secret to anybody. I worked in the petrochemical industry. I worked inside those fence lines for a little over 35 years. So I know the operations. I know the business. I know the people. I'm familiar enough with the business model and the technology that I give a different perspective than people who don't. And I can understand and appreciate that if you drive by a highway and you look through a chain link fence with wire around it going, that's scary looking, what's happening in there. Mm-hmm. I get that, I understand that. And I try and bring the perspective of why it isn't as scary as you think it should be. And some of the hype, the negative hype about it, I just try and balance that. But I balance it in the perspective of the U.S. Being a global power and being an economic power. We can't just become a service economy. We can't just sit around in Starbucks and have people bring us coffee.
It was a great quote.
Trying to make a living tapping on our laptops and Surface Pros or texting people back and forth. We have to use our minds and our hands in manufacturing to make stuff. I mean, it's a fundamental basics of economy. Otherwise, we're going to be in this situation of the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are simply waiting on the wealthy tech guys, the cryptocurrency guys, and all these people that really don't produce a product at the end of the day. Changing our beds in hotels and waiting on us in Starbucks. And that's not the world I want to live in. And the fundamental reason we need to look at advanced manufacturing, we need to look at the benefits of the plastics industry and the quality of life that it has brought, is those are good jobs. Those are family-sustaining wages. That's where the middle class was built from, those kinds of manufacturing jobs. That's where the disposable income comes from to support the Don Deli and the Starbucks and the Cafe Kolaches or here, the Orm's Donuts here, the chicken shacks of the world. If we don't have that disposable income, if we're all just scuffling to get along with minimum wage service jobs, we're not going to make it.
Because you've got a background in specifically what we're talking about, does it put people off? They're thinking, that's because that used to be your job? Why wouldn't they listen to you and go, okay, this guy knows better. If he's telling me that it's not dangerous, your family lives here, you worked in the industry.
I'm not saying it isn't dangerous.
Well, most industrial jobs have danger, yes.
And what I try and bring is perspective and balance and reason and logic and facts to the table. The people, I get it. If you got the kid with childhood asthma and those kinds of things, you're concerned about the air. I'm concerned about the air and the water quality. I just spent the whole day, half a day yesterday, at the Montgomery Lock and Dams on the Ohio River, looking up and down there. And what a great asset the Ohio and Beaver Rivers are. They separate us, differentiate us from surrounding communities for the quality of life that they bring. But they're also very functional, very important to commerce and industry. So we need to fix those things up. So I just try to bring balance and perspective. We all take a risk every day. When I walk out the door, get in my car, drive to the courthouse, or drive here to the radio station, there's an inherent risk with that.
Yeah.
When you open the door and put your kid on a school bus, there's inherent risk in that. Building a cracker plant has certain inherent risk, but you do a cost risk benefit analysis, and when somebody says they're going to spend $5 to $7 billion in your backyard, you try and find a way to make it mutually beneficial to everybody. And as a commissioner, I have to look out for the health, safety, and economic well-being of people. And I just happen to bring different experiences to that equation in making that assessment of what's beneficial and what isn't. When you look in the aggregate that there was a steel plant, 2 coal-fired plants, a nuclear plant, a zinc smelter, and most of those are gone, the nuke plant's still there.
Right.
And now you're substituting a cracker plant that has less onerous particulates than those other things do.
Okay, dumb that down. That's smelly stuff, right?
Well, it's not necessarily smelly stuff, and that's the other thing that I get upset. People go to Louisiana, they look at an oil-based facility that has different olefins and gas and different odors. This is natural gas. Natural gas has no odor until they odorize it.
We put
to let
the
you
odor
know.
in it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And all these things about, you won't be able to sit outside and beaver and,
it's just not right.
Because of the smells. It's just not true. It's not true. And so I just try and bring those facts and that data. There are inherent risks with the cracker plant, but I have great faith in the technology, the people, the commitment that Shell has and other reputable companies like Shell to build a world-class facility. It's going to be safe, environmentally friendly. The monitoring they're doing, all the things they did proactively. I just have a different perspective. So
well, you've seen
I
it
am
from both
biased to that
sides.
degree. I'm biased because I know the inner workings of that and the people involved.
Of how it works.
I'm not biased when we needed to push back on the cracker plant. When the pandemic was going, it looked like the numbers were climbing, and it looked like we could overwhelm Heritage Valley with cases. We pushed back. They shut down. They took 6 months. They came back with new procedures. And quite frankly, they managed the pandemic as well as any town or community did in the country when they came back.
Jack Manning is my guest. It's Ask the Commissioners on Beaver County Radio. Is that what you get talked to when people come up to you on the street and talk to you? Is that the number one topic? Or is it reassessment? I forgot to ask about reassessment.
Yeah, that's fine too. There's no single topic.
No? Okay.
I mean, I talk to 3 dozen different groups, nonprofits, communities, every quarter. And everybody has their own issues and own concerns and own priorities. When I'm here in Beaver Falls, they're talking about the infrastructure and blight removal. A lot of them are talking about affordable housing. Some of them do talk about assessment. Some talk about the crisis that we've talked about before in the emergency response. Enough first responders, enough municipal police.
The radios.
I was at the ribbon cutting for CCBC's Center for Public Safety, and a lot of the police chiefs there and some other people talking about that. I mean, every municipality is struggling to find enough policemen and stuff. So I get more issues around labor, the lack of labor, what's happening with the inflation of labor costs and the inflation in the supply chain line, more than I get about the cracker plant at this point.
I did see a story yesterday that said lumber prices are starting to come down.
Well,
when you know much more about labor costs and industry and all of that infrastructure and supply chain, when you see a story like that, do you smile or do you take that with a grain of salt or do you ignore it?
Well, I mean, the market's cyclical, and it's going to, we heard a while ago the labor prices were coming down, then they spiked back up again. Now they're coming down again. I mean, the more concerning one is probably the price of a barrel of oil, and with gas prices coming down, because the gas prices impact everything along the delivery chain, from transportation to the manufacturing of it. So that's a critical element, especially with the inflation.
You mentioned you were hanging out at Montgomery Lock and Dams yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the gargantuan catfish downriver that are legend to be down there?
I didn't see a catfish, but there was a carp that was about
King?
the size of a porpoise. It looked like
King carp.
It was, it was huge there.
Well, explain to people, for people that don't know, is it just second nature? If you grew up here, you assume everybody has what can end up being an international waterway. What was getting sorted out that you were hanging out at the lock and dam?
Well, the Army Corps of Engineers who,
Yeah.
who operate all the locks and dams in the Upper Ohio, Montgomery, Dashield, and Emsworth, they invited in June. They invited a bunch of construction workers, different people that might be bidding on what's going to be a 10-year project to improve those locks and dams. They invited a bunch of public officials. I was there. Jim Marshall, Representative Jim Marshall was
Cool.
there. A couple of state senators from more the Allegheny, Washington area that I really didn't know well were there. A bunch of labor leaders were there, IBW, different construction.
The people that are going to
folks.
do the work.
But the people that are hoping to supply the labor
Right.
to complete that work. Rebecca Matsko from Powder Township was there. There were a couple of people from the Chamber, Port of Pittsburgh, and there was probably 30 of us there. And we got to walk around and tour and get an insight as to what's going to be done. And it's a 10-year project. They're kind of in the pre-construction phase now. And just descriptions of the locks and the interchange and the time it takes and how critical it is to the viability of so much business and commerce there. I've always lamented that primarily the Ohio River has been an industrial highway, and I'd love to see more recreational use. The Beaver River is much better because it doesn't have that commercial traffic on it. So from a recreational standpoint, we're very fortunate and blessed to have the Beaver River in Beaver County as well. It's a great for recreational, but the Ohio for fishing and different stuff and
Right.
recreation. And I was part of the Chamber of Commerce tour. They had the boat come up from Pittsburgh. There were, I don't know, 170, 180 of us on the boat last week, and
Yeah.
we toured and you can't appreciate how beautiful Beaver County is unless you get a chance to see it from the river, and it's just magnificent. It's such a great asset and such a valuable asset. That's why we need to make sure it's safe from pollution and it's been cleaned up a lot.
How are they going to build one dam? They're going to have to build a second smaller dam to basically divert while they work on the first
Yeah,
one?
it's not the dam, it's the lock that channels through
Right,
the waterway.
okay.
They're going to build one right next to the one that exists.
Little baby.
Yeah, well, no, it's going to be
Same
a
size?
bigger, better one, same size, if
Okay.
not slightly bigger. And then when that one's done, they'll turn that on, and the old one will be an auxiliary one because you can't really get rid of it very, very easy.
Well,
I mean, it's amazing to think that on that portion, as you're heading towards Midland, coming past the cracker plant, my old facility at Nova, now Styropec, and stuff, the water is 17 feet higher than it is when you go through the lock on the other side.
when you stand up on top and
Yeah.
look at one side and then look at the other
And
side,
just
right?
the exchange of those tugboats and barges and things to go through there, it takes 10 million gallons, I believe they said, of water in one of those exchanges. So,
to run it through. Wow.
which is the equivalent of about 15 Olympic-sized swimming pools every time somebody goes through there. Now, the water keeps staying and maintaining. But it's quite an operation to see. And I'm excited that I moved here 22 years ago in industry, and we knew how important those lock and dams were for the viability of our facility. If something was to happen here, we shut that down. Huge economic impact. And so we've been lobbying for it. So to finally see some money allocated, I think 2.6 million for all three of those in the Upper Ohio. I don't know how much is going to be spent on each one, but considerable amount of money to build this new lock and keep stuff flowing.
I'm going to ask a stupid question before the break. If they build a lock right next to the current lock that needs worked on, and that lock that they built is ready to go to take over, don't we already just have created the new lock that we need? Or is it, see what I'm saying?
Uh,
If I give you
I'm
a
not sure.
loaner car because
Yeah.
your car is busted, I fix your car, but you get to keep the loaner car?
Well,
I'm way oversimplifying this, aren't I?
it's. I mean, think about if you have a retaining wall somewhere that's collapsing. So you build a new retaining wall.
Okay.
To make sure the hillside doesn't collapse or something
Okay.
doesn't collapse. The old wall's still there, it's still functional
Fix that
until
too.
it is no longer functional.
you.
And they'll continue to. They'll have two locks there if they need them to use. It'll create the efficiency, increase the time that it takes to go through.
Two
there.
things can lock out or lock through quicker. All right, fluid dynamics and construction building with Jack Manning. It's Ask the Commissioners on Beaver County Radio.
Falling in love is one thing. Having anxiety about falling is a whole different subject. If you or a family member are concerned about falling, and yes, either up or down the stairs, or maybe even out of bed, St. Barnabas has a special message and some ideas just for you. Years of experience in working with people who are prone to falls has given St. Barnabas special expertise in this area. Call them at 724-443-0700 and learn about ways that you can begin to feel more confident and safe, including suggestions that you can implement right now into your daily routine. Call St. Barnabas at 724-443-0700. For many years now, St. Barnabas has been helping people fall, in love that is, with their new, better life, a longer life, a risk-free life. Call St. Barnabas now at 724-443-0700 or visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com and learn more about living longer and better.
Back to school season means back to your credit union season. Before you pack the lunchbox, be sure and pack your wallet. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union and get the cash supply you'll need so that you can buy the school supplies that they will need. This is Cindy Hiladio. Again, stop into the principal's office and see me to sign up for an easy-to-manage personal signature loan. They're now available from $500 to $10,000 with approved credit. Visit Friendly Federal Credit Union in Baden or Aliquippa today so that learning can begin tomorrow. Hurry, the school bell is ringing and you need to get ready. Special graduates accounts are also available for the student. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you got a friend.
Entrepreneur, life and business go hand in hand. Getting the most out of both sometimes can be as simple as a new idea or an insightful conversation. Join attorney and author Rocco Kaza, along with realtor and podcaster Eric McKenna, for The Entrepreneur Life, Beaver County Radio's newest show. The Entrepreneur Life airs from 10:30 to 12:30 this and every Saturday morning. Listen on Beaver County Radio or watch the video stream on Facebook and YouTube. Don't just get busier, become happier, and ultimately wealthier. Tune in to The Entrepreneur Life Saturday starting at 10:30 on Beaver County Radio.
Insurance doesn't adequately describe what we sell. This is Bill Laughlin from Laughlin Insurance Agency. Sure, affordable insurance is the means that allow us to do it, but we really provide at the Laughlin Insurance Agency is peace of mind. It's true, worrying about risk can take the fun and joy out of almost everything. We see every day how having peace of mind can lead to more enjoyment, which, last time we checked, is a fairly priceless commodity. Make life more enjoyable. Visit LaughlinInsAgency.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning, as today's forecast is calling for showers and thunderstorms likely mainly after 5 p.m. today. Otherwise, it's going to be partly sunny, hazy, hot, and humid today. High's going to be up to 91 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Aliquippa City Council met last night, and the Home Rule Charter and Honoring Citizens was discussed. Beaver County radio news correspondent Sandy Giordano has more.
Council will exit Act 47 next year, and Coordinator Debbie Grass explained how the Home Rule Charter would work if the study reveals that the city would go in that direction that would change its current form of government. A decision must be made between August 22nd and August 30th to have the County Board of Elections place a question on the ballot. Council approved current part-time police officers Bruce Tooch and Sam Holden to become full-time. This action was taken per the City's Civil Service Commission eligibility letter. Mayor Dwan B. Walker plans to hire more full and part-time officers. Mayor Walker announced that recognition will be given to those that assisted in life-saving measures for Pennsylvania State Police Officer Johnny Shuley after last week's shooting will be given at a later date. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano is reporting that the Center Township Police Department is reporting via their Facebook page that between 11:30 p.m. Monday night, August the 1st, and 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, August the 2nd, several vehicles were broken into and items taken from vehicles on Gortley Lane and in the Eben States area of the township. Center Township Police are asking anyone with information or surveillance video to contact Officer Eric Hill at 724-774-3329 or Detective Tom Agonzi at 724-920-0927. Residents are reminded to keep their vehicles locked. PennDOT is announcing short-term traffic stoppages on the northbound I-79 local lane at the traffic crossover in Aleppo Township beginning today, weather permitting. Short-term traffic stoppages of 15 minutes or less will occur intermittently on the local lane of northbound I-79 just north of Neville Island Bridge weekdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. through Thursday, August the 11th. The stoppages are needed for the delivery of material. Additionally, a single-lane restriction will occur on northbound I-79 at the bridge over I-279 during the same time frame. Some sad news to report this morning. Republican U.S. Representative Jackie Walorski was killed in a car accident in her northern Indiana district yesterday. The Elkhart County Sheriff's Office says the 58-year-old and two staff members were inside an SUV that was hit head-on yesterday afternoon by a car that crossed the center line on a state highway. She served on the House Ways and Means Committee and was first elected to represent Indiana's 2nd Congressional District in 2012. Indiana Republican Senator Todd Young said he was devastated by the news of her death and that he'll never forget her spirit and positive attitude. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled this week that expanded mail-in voting in the state is constitutional. Danielle Smith has more.
The ruling is seen as a setback to the 14 Republican lawmakers who opposed expanding mail-in voting 2 years ago and then challenged the expansion in court. Now, Pennsylvania voters can request and use an absentee ballot for any reason, and the law will be in place for this November's midterm election. Meg Pierce with the League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania says mail-in ballots are important to ensure that elections are accessible to everyone.
Voting by mail is convenient and secure and has resulted in an incredible boost in voter turnout in Pennsylvania's recent election. The data that we have indicates that about 170,000 registered voters voted in Pennsylvania election when they were allowed to vote by mail.
Pierce adds the midterm ballot is a critical one with races for governor, U.S. Senate and House seats, state legislative seats, as well as Democratic and Republican Party committee members.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Showers and thunderstorms likely mainly after 5 p.m. today. Otherwise, partly sunny, hazy, hot, and humid with a high up to 91 degrees. Showers and thunderstorms likely overnight tonight with a low down to 69. Tomorrow, showers and possibly a thunderstorm with a high of 85 degrees. Saturday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly after 2 p.m. with a high of 87. Sunday, also a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 2 p.m. It's going to be mostly sunny the remainder of the day. High is going to be up to 89 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, beavercountyradio.com, all presented by St. Barnabas.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to Ask the Commissioners on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. The commissioners are awaiting your questions by calling 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Today's show is brought to you by Huntington Bank, the Laughlin Insurance Agency, and Beaver Valley Auto Mall. Click BeaverValleyCars.com. You can also post comments or questions in the Facebook Live video feed. And now it's your chance to Ask the Commissioners right here on Beaver County Radio.
Jack Manning is my guest, and I got more questions, but off air we were talking a little bit. You get to do some cool stuff. Before you were talking about going down, checking out the locks and dam, and you got to do something else that to me is even cooler than that with Gold Star, with the Gold Star families.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that casually, and I said, no, dude, that's a big deal. That's not just a casual thing. Explain what you did.
Over the weekend, I was honored and privileged to attend a veterans memorial ceremony in Brighton Township at Hardy Field. It's put on by Legacies Alive, which is a tremendous organization that honors Gold Star families and veterans. Veterans Affairs, as you might have guessed, Eddie, I'm not a single issue person, and Veterans Affairs
that's good.
Are very important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad, being an 18-year-old going into World War II into the Navy and coming back, and my father-in-law being an 18-year-old from the same high school class.
When you were 18, did it ever dawn on you, hey, when Dad was this age, he was a different world?
No, but I mean, when I look back at that generation, and I do believe it's the greatest generation, despite what some younger folks may think now, how they may have messed up the world. I don't share that view, but here's a man that was born during the Depression. His mother died from rheumatic fever when he was 12 years old. He was given to an aunt and uncle, only child, graduated from high school, went right into World War II, served on a hospital ship in the South Pacific, and no doubt saw some horrendous things. Never talked about it at all. But I don't want to digress too much here, but this Legacy Live, the executive director is a friend, a family that I know real well, John Dudo. They put on these programs. He worked with Ron Bagolia, who is Staff Sergeant Dylan Eiken's grandfather. We have memorials. The Vanport Bridge was renamed after Dylan on the Hook Sound post office, and I was honored to be part of both of those things. I wear this ever since his grandfather gave me this band. I've worn this for a couple of years, and it has.
I've never seen you not have that on.
Yeah, 11/27/18, the day that Dylan was killed in Afghanistan, serving our country. I mean, these folks who have given the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms and the comforts that we enjoy here in the U.S., I don't think we do enough. I'm glad the Senate finally passed that bill for the burn pits and the other stuff. I mean, it was driving me nuts.
I was sitting here trying to decide.
Technical issues.
Yeah.
But come on. These folks are good. And, I spent a lot of time in Virginia, the highest concentration of Navy personnel in the world. I worked with the wife of a Navy SEAL who was part of my team at down in Virginia. I interacted with these guys. I see what they do, and it's just amazing to me. And this area, Beaver County has, and the Vietnam Veterans Group is one of the largest east of, I think, the Mississippi. We have a lot of veterans. We don't do enough for them. We don't honor them enough. And this Legacy of Lives with these monuments, they did one in Chippewa. They did one in Chippewa on what would have been Dylan's 29th birthday in June. We did the one in Brighton, and there'll be one in Hopewell, I think in October. And I asked people to go visit that. And I'm talking to Ron. I'm trying to figure out a way from a county perspective how we can also honor these people. There's 7 names that they have of the ones that have been lost in what is called the War on Terror. So from Iraq campaign up to now. So we've lost seven very brave, honorable, brilliant young men from Beaver County just on this brief period here in the War on Terror. And I think it's important. I know I wear this to keep Dylan's memory and legacy alive in honor of his grandfather, who has just been tremendously diligent about doing that as well. and it's important stuff. So legaciesalive.com, if anybody wants to see about it, donate to it. I'm not here to necessarily promote organizations, but they're doing wonderful things. They do motorcycle escorts for families and different
Last
things.
rides.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, and makes me proud. I get choked up thinking about it a lot. But
How often do you look
good
at that
folks.
bracelet and say, okay, you know what, I'm going to try a little harder for this? I got a feeling you're motivated by that. That's
Yeah.
why it's still there.
No, it's important.
All right. I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm glad you brought up the whole passing that bill, because I was sitting there thinking, do I bring this up? Or
Well, and by the way, I mean, an individual that worked for me when I was a plant manager at Nova, Vietnam vet, a couple of years ago, he passed away from the after effects of Agent Orange from his service there in Vietnam. Reverend Howard Burton, but he worked for us. Know his wife and his family real well. I mean, the impacts and effects of all of those exposures that these guys have been exposed to over the years is still lingering, still there.
It's just got me thinking, do you really believe we're less aware of that as a society? Do you think we're losing some of that because we're talking about World War II veterans, and we're talking about Vietnam veterans, people that are starting to get up, and now the world. See, that's just it. We're adding young people to what is now perceived as old people.
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
And I certainly think we're more aware and more appreciative. But are we appreciative enough with what we don't see and the struggles of going to a VA hospital? My older sister, before she passed away from cancer, for 20 years was a nurse at the VA hospital in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And treating, as she said, the boys coming back from Iraq with head injuries and that kind of stuff. You know, there are so many things that are impacting our communities with homelessness and other things, where a high majority of those are mental health issues and veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic situations and issues. And people are aware of it, and they're concerned about it, but we're not acting as aggressively as we should be in the treatment, in increasing mental health capability and treatments.
Is it the Thoughts and Prayers Society?
Yeah, it's got to be more than that, right? It's got to be more than that.
Is that one of the best things about your job, that you get to interact with groups that make a difference? Because there are some crappy things about your job, I'm sure, but that sounds like something that you very much hold close to your heart.
It is. I mean, it is personal to me, and I worked with a lot of these folks and try to do what we do. I think we have a fairly effective veterans affair group at the courthouse. I'm always available to them. I try and go everywhere somebody asked for a commissioner to be. I try and accommodate as many people, and I get a lot of requests from veterans groups and different people, like this Legacies Alive, get invited to those things. I try and be where I'm asked, and a lot of times where I'm not asked, just to see what's going on. I mean, I'm a problem solver by nature, and when I see issues, I see problems, I want to jump in and try and make things better.
All right, we'll go from the soul-lifting part of your job to the crud part of your job. When are they going to open the cracker plant? You guys said it's going to be done last year.
You'll have to ask Shell. I mean, I'm always careful to say, look, I know the industry.
Yeah.
I worked in that. I know the business. But, my guess is as good as whatever information they've given out, which is that it's going to be fairly soon, end of the summer, early fall. I don't know, somewhere in that timeframe.
Have you ever been on a plant site during startup, or from construction through startup? Is there a general timeline?
Yes, I have for a startup for particular units, not a full facility. Yeah,
okay.
Facility. Nothing on the scale of this, but I have been there where we've had brand new startup of a unit or a facility on a particular site.
How many different ducks in a row all have to be aligned before they flip the master switch?
It's significant, and that's why not being an engineer,
Yeah.
working with so many engineers, I value their very anal approach to startups, procedures, processes, testing, equipment, protocols, lockout, tagout, checks and balances that they go through. So I'm confident they'll do well with this.
Have you heard anybody ask about what happens after it starts up? How many people that are in Beaver County now are now they're journeymen, they're going to move on to where their next job is? How many people are expected to leave? How many are expected to stay?
I do get that question quite a bit. Like I say, I've done 6 to 8 interviews probably in the last 2 or 3 weeks with people wanting to know, and that's the question: what's going to happen to all those hotels, or what's going to happen?
Well, I know
jobs where
apartment
it's only
buildings,
600 jobs. Well, it's not 600 jobs. I mean, I know when I was the plant manager and director of manufacturing over a couple of sites, we had at least a 1-to-1, if not 2-to-1 ratio of contract workers to support the permanent core employees. So Shell's going to have 600 Shell employees. They're going to have a significant number more of contract employees. And in the very beginning stages, it'll probably be a ratio, maybe even up to 5-to-1, certainly 3 to 5-to-1, of other jobs that'll be on site, making that plant continue to run and function and be maintained. And then if you look at the induced jobs as a result of that, other jobs coming, and some of our small town shops that are sending sandwiches over there, or catering over there,
food trucks,
or laundry service over there, or all these other things. It's significant impact. It's more than, quote, just 600 jobs.
All right, I'm going to work with the 600 for a second. Let's go one-on-one ratio. 600 more contract workers are going to be around.
And again, I can't speak for Shell.
Okay.
I can only tell you what I did.
All right.
And I had at least a 1-to-1 ratio at a very old existing plant, not a new plant.
All right. As a person managing a plant, what is the benefit of keeping X number of contract workers around versus the plant owner hiring and making them their employees?
It's to complement your staff, but it's because some of that work is cyclical and stuff, so you don't want to be laying people off and bringing them back. That's what contractors are for. If you have a shutdown or a turnaround that you have to do, and those are all mandated, certain number of days per year, you have to inspect stuff, welding, all this stuff. You bring in more contractors to do that kind of work. You don't have that many people on your own site. It's a cost benefit. You're not paying salaries, benefits, medicals, all that stuff. The contractor handles all that.
Okay, the company doesn't have somebody that's going to do 3 startups a year.
It's a basic of business, and to me, it should be a basic of government. You control your costs by controlling your headcount. Headcount, people are the biggest cost for pretty much any industry. In the petrochemical industry, it's raw material costs and people costs. It accounts for probably 80% of what you're trying to do there.
How difficult is it to talk about the petrochemical industry and not have it play out as the villain, particularly when record profits? You see the same stories as I do. You've seen both sides of it.
Yeah.
Do you take people aside and say, okay, here's what's really up?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to defend the oil companies, and I worked for an oil company for a while there.
Yeah.
It's the whole first in, first out, inventory, supply. When we bought oil at this cost, it's in the pipeline, so it's going to take a while to recoup those costs from the higher prices of barrel of oil. When the price of barrel of oil from wherever drops, it doesn't show up instantaneously at the pump. It takes a while for the more expensive stuff to work its way through the system. At least that's the logic in the theory about that. But it's hard to defend. They always seem to go up a lot quicker than they come down. Yeah. So I can't really defend that. But I will say, from the petrochemical, from the plastics industry standpoint, our quality of life has been enhanced tremendously by that. And I know people get upset with a plastic bag blowing in a tree. I get pretty, as you know, litter is one of my hot buttons and stuff, and I hate litter and trash and fast food trash and the like. But when you look at medical devices, the advancement in plastics, whether you're getting cancer treatment or being treated for sleep apnea, try doing that without the advancement in plastics to be able to deliver the treatments and stuff for that. When you look at the cost of transportation and lightweighting materials, going from heavy metals and glass to plastics to deliver stuff. And I think we talked about before, I mean, food waste and waste. I can't go into Giant Eagle and grab a fistful of ground beef and say, wrap that up for me, I'm going to go. If it wasn't in a plastic container with wrap on it so it doesn't spoil and I can pick up that package and take it home. I mean, there are just some basics that people kind of overlook and don't appreciate.
Oh, I don't think they overlook them. I think they're completely unaware of them.
I mean, there are just, I mean, dozens and dozens of examples of where lightweighting of cars. You think we'd get the fuel efficiency if we were still using steel?
Stamped steel.
For everything? Copolymers and different plastics have enhanced our quality of life significantly. It helped us send somebody to the moon. It helped do all kinds of stuff. The oceans, drones, laptops, cell phones. I mean, it's an endless thing that people don't appreciate the quality of life that has been enhanced. And if trying to do and people that just want to totally wipe it out and are just ideologically opposed to anything oil and gas driven, don't appreciate how far we've come. But as I tell people, you want to improve the environment, ban fast food restaurants. You know, I mean, think of all the food waste, the garbage, the litter that's created by that, but try convincing the soccer mom taking her kids to practice when they go, we haven't had anything to eat. Let's stop in McDonald's and get some nuggets. And try getting people to convert back to the lifestyle of Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver. And I know that's an old reference, but I mean, those days are gone.
All I'm doing right now is trying to not stand up and go, "You go, girl." You're exactly right.
So
it's exactly right.
And again, people talk about landfills and all this. I mean, you can drill down 20 feet in a landfill and pick up a newspaper and still read it. Nothing biodegrades in landfills. I don't think people. It's entombed.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
We buried it. It ain't getting reassembled.
You can find a hot dog 10 feet down that still looks like a hot dog. A bag of Doritos and a Dorito chip, which may say a lot about that. Hope Doritos doesn't come after me, but because I like Doritos. But you know, seriously, people get their perspective wrong, and they have these perceptions about certain things, and they want to blame plastics for everything. And I don't know where the energy is going to come to drive this country, because we have a hockey stick curve of demand projected over the next several years with electric cars alone. I mean, if 50% of the cars by 2030 are electric cars, I don't know where all the electricity is going to come from. It's not going to come solely from wind and solar. I can tell you that. And I'm an all of the above energy advocate, and we still need oil, still need gas. Still need the oils just for the lubricants for machinery and stuff to work.
To run the electric motor, to keep them turning,
To run the factories, to run the cars, to run anything that's got a gear in it.
All right, a couple minutes left. Talking about perspective. Jack Manning, County Commissioner Jack Manning is my guest. You got to fly a drone? All right, seriously, how cool was it?
Well, thanks for that. I went to a couple of national night out events. There was one in New Sewickley. Kudos to Chief Linedecker and Officer Samantha Vincent and some other people. They had a great national night out at Green Valley Park in New Sewickley. And there was a drone company that does emergency response oversights and stuff. And they let me fly a drone. That was the first time I don't even do video games on
you
TV,
don't seem like a Space Invaders
my
guy.
thumbs are not used to this. I didn't fly it long, and I didn't crash it, but it was pretty cool to just see the cameras, the views, and to be able to move that thing around. And unmanned response is the name of the group, and they're great. If emergency services, if a bus goes off a bridge,
or
and you
through
need to
a
go
bridge,
see it, you can't get people down there. These guys come in, take the pictures, let everybody know what's going on, or and anything where it's difficult to get people in or dogs in if you're searching for somebody,
Right.
a kid that's lost or whatever. These guys come in and fly these things around, and it's amazing what they can do.
So the next budget line item that everybody's going to yell at the commissioners about covering,
No.
everybody's going to need a drone. You just sold it up.
Eric Brewer's got that handled
Got it covered?
at EMS, so he's got the money for those kinds of things. But no, it was great. And also here in Beaver Falls, on my way back, I stopped at a couple of their neighbor, community block.
The block party.
It's great to see neighbors coming out and talking to people. It was great to see so many people in New Sewickley interacting with the police force, and there were a lot of tables, a lot of vendors, a lot of displays. Some county detectives were there with different robots and kinds of stuff. Emergency service people, ambulance services, fire departments were there. It was just great to see, because I great appreciation for those first responders.
Jack Manning has been my guest. Great to see you, sir, as always.
Always.
Always. Jack Manning.
See
It's
you in
at
September.
September?
Yes.
God, it's already August, isn't it?
I know, it's hard to believe.
I hadn't even got my drone yet.
Yeah.
All right. It's Teleforum. Jack Manning's been my guest, and we've asked the commissioners. Did you name the carp?
I did not.
That'll be September's topic. It's
Okay.
Teleforum on Beaver County.
Insurance doesn't adequately describe what we sell. This is Bill Laughlin from Laughlin Insurance Agency. Sure, affordable insurance is the means that allow us to do it, but we really provide at the Laughlin Insurance Agency is peace of mind. It's true, worrying about risk can take the fun and joy out of almost everything. We see every day how having peace of mind can lead to more enjoyment, which, last time we checked, is a fairly priceless commodity. Make life more enjoyable. Visit LaughlinInsAgency.com.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas studios.
You don't have to be headed back to school or have kids or grandkids enrolling in class to still earn something at this time of year. This is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Today's lesson is on reading. If you are thinking about buying a car or recently bought one, make sure you read the fine print on the dealer financing contract. Remember, the dealer's goal is to sell you the car and not necessarily to get you the best interest rate. Keep this simple rule in mind. Check with Freedom United before you write the check. Even if you already purchased a vehicle and the dealer financed it somewhere else, bring your paperwork into Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Refinancing and saving you money is easy and takes just a few minutes. We'll do all the work. After all, this is where the interest is in you. That concludes today's lesson on reading. Visit freedomunitedfcu.com, member NCUA, equal